It was a moonless night when Amelia first glimpsed the falling star. She was lying on her back in the old truck bed, staring up at the inky blackness studded with tiny pinpricks of light. Her father had a habit of parking the truck out in the field behind their house and sleeping under the stars on warm summer nights. Amelia had joined him, as she often did. "Look, Daddy, a shooting star!" she cried, pointing upwards. Her father rolled over sleepily. "Where, Pumpkin?" "It's gone now," she said wistfully. "But it was the brightest one I ever saw. I wished on it." "What did you wish for?" he asked with a gentle smile. Amelia hesitated, biting her lip. "I can't tell you. Then it won't come true." He chuckled softly. "Fair enough. It'll be our secret." From that night on, Amelia became obsessed with the night sky. She begged her father to teach her all about the stars and planets. Every clear evening, they would lie together in the truck bed, and he would point out the constellations, tell her their ancient stories from Greek mythology. Amelia drank it all in like a sponge, the names, the myths, the science behind what made the stars twinkle. "How do you know so much about them, Daddy?" she asked one night. "I've always loved the stars," he replied. "Ever since I was a little boy. I used to dream about traveling up there one day, visiting other worlds." "You mean like an astronaut?" Amelia's eyes widened. He smiled sadly and shook his head. "Just silly dreams, sweet pea. Astronauts have to be the best of the best, brilliant scientists and top-notch pilots. An old country boy like me never had a chance." "I think you could do anything if you tried hard enough," Amelia declared stubbornly. Her father laughed and ruffled her hair affectionately. But Amelia could see a sort of wistful longing in his eyes as he gazed up at the stars that night, the kind of look that came from having an impossible dream locked away inside for far too long. From then on, Amelia decided that if her father couldn't realize his stargazing dreams, she would do it for him. She attacked her studies with newfound determination, devouring books on astronomy, physics, and engineering. She joined every school science club, participated in every local college's summer camp for young people interested in space exploration. The years flew by, and before she knew it, Amelia was the valedictorian of her high school class. She had been accepted to study astrophysics at MIT on a full academic scholarship. Her father was bursting with pride on the day he dropped her off at the dorms in Boston. "You're going to change the world someday, Stargazer," he told her, using his pet name for her as he pulled her into a tight hug. "I just know it." Amelia thought of the night years ago when she had seen that brilliant falling star. She finally understood what wish she had made, to one day travel among the stars herself, to slip the bonds of Earth and soar across the vast ocean of space. As she watched her father's truck disappear down the street, she whispered her promise to make that dream come true. The years at MIT were difficult but rewarding. Amelia excelled in her classes and landed coveted internships at NASA research facilities. On her breaks, she would come home and share her experiences with her father, who listened with rapt attention, his eyes sparkling with wonder, just like when he was a little boy dreaming of the stars. After graduating at the top of her class, Amelia was recruited by a cutting-edge private aerospace company to work on developing new propulsion technologies that could one day allow human travel to other star systems. She threw herself into the work with all her energy, spending countless hours in the lab, tirelessly running calculations and tweaking designs. All the while, she never lost sight of her ultimate goal: to unlock the secrets of faster-than-light travel and open up the entire universe to humanity. Just when it seemed like they were on the verge of a breakthrough, the project was abruptly shut down due to corporate cost-cutting measures. Amelia was devastated, her dreams seeming further away than ever before. She had thought about quitting, going back home to lick her wounds. But the image of her father's wistful gaze kept her going. This wasn't just her dream anymore, it was his too. So Amelia persisted, struggling to find funding and resources to continue her research. She spent years knocking on doors, giving impassioned presentations to anyone who would listen about the importance of interstellar travel. She connected with billionaire investors and aerospace startups, always selling them on her vision of one day allowing humanity to journey to other stars. Slowly but surely, she assembled a team of like-minded scientists and engineers who shared her almost spiritual zeal for the stars. They worked tirelessly in a cramped lab, running computer simulations, testing out new propulsion concepts. There were many dead ends, many failed prototypes that ended up gathering dust in the corner. But Amelia refused to give up. Then, finally, after a decade of tireless work, she had her eureka moment late one night. She had been poring over the calculations for a new theoretical propulsion system that could bend space-time itself around a ship. As she stared at the complex equations scribbled across pages and pages, something clicked into place in her mind. She gasped out loud, her heart pounding as the full, staggering implications dawned on her. Her team gathered around as she excitedly walked them through the new concept, sketching out diagrams and discussing the physics behind it. As the full theory took shape over the next several hours, they all began to realize that they had found it, the key to opening a pathway to the stars. Amelia's lifelong dream was finally within reach. Over the next few years, all their efforts went into turning that theoretical concept into reality. They developed new exotic materials and energy sources capable of generating the incredible forces required. Cutting-edge computer systems and guidance modules were meticulously designed and tested. Finally, they were ready to build the first real-world prototype of Amelia's engine. On the day of the first live test firing, there was palpable tension and nervous energy in the air. This was the make-or-break moment for their life's work. If it failed, Amelia knew their funding would likely dry up and the entire project would have to be abandoned. She tried not to think about what that would mean for her father's decades-old stargazing dreams. She watched with bated breath as the massive engine was carefully brought online according to their procedures. Energy levels built up slowly in the twin toroids that generated the space-time distortion field. Lights flickered and alarms blared as the stresses threatened to become too much for their equipment to handle. Then, with a brilliant flash of light, it happened. Space-time bent and contorted violently around the engine housing. Conventional physics was torn asunder as a deep indigo ellipsoidal region opened up, a visible rift in the fabric of reality itself. Readings from their sensors showed it was a passage that compressed 3 spatial dimensions down to an infinitesimal singularity, a wormhole. Amelia's team erupted into cheers of joy, embracing each other with tears streaming down their faces. She stood in stunned silence for a long moment, unable to process what her eyes had just witnessed. Her life's obsession, her father's childhood dream of the stars, it was all real now. No longer constrained by the shackles of sublight speeds, humanity would finally be able to reach out and explore other worlds among the stars. When she finally returned home to surprise her father with the news, he broke down in tears of joy and pride. Amelia knew in that moment that all the years of struggle, every ounce of sacrifice and hardship, had all been worth it just to see the look of pure wonderment and childlike awe on his face. "You did it, Stargazer," he whispered through his tears, wrapping her up in his arms. "You finally did it." In the weeks and months that followed, the first unmanned probes were launched and sent through the wormhole to nearby stars. They sent back images of alien worlds unlike anything imagined before. Not barren, lifeless rocks, but lush, Earth-like planets teeming with strange life forms and epic, multi-hued skies. With each new discovery reported, waves of excitement rippled across Earth. Finally, the day came for the first manned mission to travel through the artificial wormhole. Amelia had been given the honor of commanding that first historic voyage among the stars. She remembered waving at the cheering crowds for the final time before boarding the sleek silver interstellar craft. The last person she embraced was her proud father, struggling to maintain his composure. "You've given us the stars, my little stargazer," he told her, tears shining in his eyes. "Now go see what wonders await out there among them." Amelia had smiled back, squeezing him fiercely one last time. "Don't worry, Daddy," she replied, her own eyes growing misty. "I'll be sure to bring you back the most amazing souvenir of all." As the rocket engines roared to life and she gazed out the view screen, watching her home planet dwindle behind her, Amelia knew her life's journey was just beginning. For the first time, the stars were finally within her grasp, and she could go exploring them, not just for herself, but for that little starry-eyed girl she had been, and her father, and all the other countless dreamers who had ever tilted their heads back and longed to become citizens of the cosmos.